Hello, everyone. Good evening. I'm just gonna wait for a few people to join and then we'll get started. Hello, good evening. Good evening, everyone. Oh, good to be back here. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. Welcome, everyone. I'm just gonna wait for a few more people to join and then we will get started. Really excited about today's conversation and our topic for the day. Thank you, everyone, for joining. All right. Okay, give it a few more minutes. My name is Bolanle Olukanni, and I am the host of the Gender Just series. I'm really excited to be here. I'm excited to be part of this conversation, and I'm excited that we've had a very robust 2 weeks of conversations with first ladies across the geopolitical zones in Nigeria, and we've focused a lot on gender-based violence, and that conversation today is going to continue, but we're also going to be talking about motherhood. We have a very engaging and also very insightful conversation today, and I think that it's going to be one where for anybody that is a mother, anyone that has plans on being a mother, there'll be a lot of nuggets for you. And also we'll continue talking a lot about gender-based violence and also the role that government has in making sure that we to play to eradicate that. I'm going to be talking to the First Lady today of Akwa Ibom, and she so graciously agreed to have a conversation with me about the work that she's been doing, and I'm really looking forward to that. So let us go ahead and invite her on, and we'll get this conversation started. Okay, so we're inviting First Lady of Akwa Ibom, Dr. Mrs. Martha Udom Emmanuel, to the conversation, and we're going to begin shortly. Fingers crossed, we have good internet today. I know this rain has been a huge problem, so let's see. Seems as if there might be a bit of a connection issue. Just waiting, give it a few more minutes. So on my end, it's saying that we're waiting, and it's just trying to connect us to her. So let me cancel and then try again. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, we're connecting, and there she is. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for joining us on this conversation on our Gender Just series. We really appreciate it. Can you hear me well?
Here is a little bit faint.
Okay, all right, let me fix that. I'll fix that on my end. It's
Okay.
wonderful to see you.
Okay.
Okay. Can everyone hear well?
I'm trying to. Okay.
All right, wonderful. So
Okay.
you're welcome to our Gender Justice series. Thank you very much for taking time to have this conversation with me. My name is Bolanle, just to formally introduce myself, and you're welcome to the Enough is Enough Nigeria's platform. I'm excited about conversation. We're going to be talking about motherhood and your experience as a mother, and also being someone who in so many ways is also fighting for issues that have to do with gender-based violence. So I want to talk a little bit about your upbringing and your experience. Tell us a little bit about your childhood.
Thank you, Bolanle. How are you doing?
I'm fine.
Are you coping with the lockdown?
It's okay. Small.
Nice having you on the program. Yeah, my upbringing, I would say, was a very beautiful experience because I had good parents. They are late now. They were all educated. They were all God-fearing. I had all the basic things I needed as a child. I went to good schools. I had good values from my parents. They imparted that to me. So my upbringing was a wonderful one. Together with my siblings, we were raised from a Christian home.
That's wonderful. And you
Yeah.
know, our commenters, they seem to have wonderful things to say about you, ma'am. I want to talk a little bit about, you know, your experience and your journey as a mother. And I know that it's something that you're very passionate about, talking about how we raise our children and how children are raised and the kind of homes that they're brought up in. So talk to us about your motherhood journey.
My motherhood journey is very interesting also. First of all, who is a mother? Because it's not all women that are mothers. We have so many mothers that abandon their children, so many mothers that do not sacrifice for their families. My journey as a mother has been based on sacrifice and love. And I think my children are in best position to tell who I am as a mother to them.
Right.
But I know that I've been a good mother. My family, children, my husband, they are my priorities in life. Every other thing comes second. I've not neglected my home for anything. When it comes to family, I don't play with it.
Right.
So as a mother, I have sacrificed, I have loved.
And what have been some key lessons that you've, you know, learned from being a mother that you can share with us?
Yeah. To mothers out there, there are so many mothers that are nonchalant towards their families. I want to tell them there are two ingredients that can make them successful mothers. And that is one, being sacrificial. You have to sacrifice your time, sacrifice everything you have to make sure that you have a stable home. Two, you have to be loving. You have to love. Unconditional love. When you love, you'll be able to capture everything concerning your home. Even at worst scenarios, love will conquer all. Even the
We'll just give it a few minutes to reconnect. Sorry, it seems as if we're having a little bit of issues. Okay, we can hear you, ma'am. We can hear you.
Sorry, yeah, a call came in and yeah.
Okay.
So as I said, to be a good mother, a successful mother, you have to be sacrificial.
Yeah.
In everything. You have to sacrifice your time, you sacrifice your pleasure in order to satisfy your family. And you have to put your family first in everything you do. No matter who comes, your family, that is your husband and your children, must be your priority. Yeah. Then you have to show love, unconditional love. Sometimes people will say, I can only love when I am expecting something in return, but it's not like that.
Yeah.
Love must be unconditional. So a good mother must be willing to sacrifice and must be willing to love. That's what I can tell the mothers out there, especially the young upcoming mothers. They have to sacrifice and they have to love.
Do you think that, what about the role and the balance in terms of knowing how to balance your career and motherhood? And people ask this question all the time, not because they're trying to be redundant, but because it's a real challenge. You know, a lot of mothers are expected. When I think about my mom worked, but she also sacrificed a lot of her career and her career growth to ensure that she raised myself and my sisters. And some feel like they shouldn't have to do that anymore. What would you say to people who are very committed to their career? And is it fair to ask mothers to sacrifice a lot of their career promotion and trajectory because of motherhood?
As I said before, your family comes first. If you don't succeed in your family, whatever you do outside, it tantamounts to nothing. So as you rightly use the word sacrifice, as I said before, you have to sacrifice. If you realize that your job is taking you away from your family, your job is tearing your family apart, you have to look into it and do something about it. I know so many women that have resigned from their jobs because their families were suffering. So if it must get to that stage, you have to. And there are so many other jobs you can take up that can also give you time to take care of your family.
True.
So I think sacrifice is just the word. You cannot eat your cake and have it. If you must have a good home, a good family, something must be sacrificed for it.
You know, I want to talk a little bit about the role that co-parenting and mothers and fathers have to play in raising their children. You know, you talked a little bit earlier, ma'am, about how you were raised in a Christian home and raised in a home that had good values.
Yeah.
You think that there's an issue with the kind of values that children are being raised with in this current, you know, climate, and how important is it to get back to values that are wholesome and helpful to raising responsible citizens in society?
Yeah, first of all, parents must understand the concept of value. Once you understand the concept of value, you'll be able to pass it to your children.
Right.
What are the values we are talking about? Training a child how to show gratitude, how to love, how to be kind to somebody, how to be humble. Those are the core values we need to imbibe in our children's lives. And once parents understand these concepts, they will go all out to make sure they inculcate this value into their children. The one thing, you cannot give what you don't have. Parents that do not have value at all cannot pass that to their children.
Right,
for example, you have parents that are very cantankerous. What value would they pass to their children? How would they train their children? If you have a parent that lies a lot, a parent that will tell the child, this man is coming, I'm in the room, tell that man I am not around. What are you going to tell that child? What kind of advice will you give to that child? So you give only what you have. So until parents look inwards, check out their lifestyles. How am I living? What is my lifestyle? Will it impact on this child positively or negatively? Until we come to that time. That's why we are having so many dysfunctional families, because so many parents are not living up to their responsibilities.
Right.
So it has to start with us. What you have is what you give to your child.
And I want to talk to you a little bit about, you know, the role that you think fathers have to play. When you think of a responsible, I know we're talking about motherhood, but we have a lot of men on this live, and I think it's important that we also include them in the conversation. And you've talked about parents, but what role do you think fathers have to play when it comes to creating a healthy environment for their children?
Yeah, naturally, the primary role of a mother is to take care of the home, and father is not excluded from that. But we all know that they are breadwinners. They are more busy than the mothers. Fathers are known to be disciplinarians. Children tend to fear their fathers more than their mothers. When a father speaks,
I have to say mine was completely opposite. I was
that is 1 out of 100. That's 1 out of 100. There are so many homes that once the father comes back from work, everyone that was misbehaving will start behaving well. They were misbehaving even when their mother was with them. As they hear that daddy is back, everybody will behave well.
Right.
Your father is very, very important. And we are losing it out these days. Why? Because fathers are becoming more busy than it has ever been. And they are leaving the responsibilities of taking care of families to only mothers. That is why we are having so many dysfunctional children, disobedient children, because mothers alone cannot do it. So I'm calling on fathers to take up their responsibilities. No matter how busy you are, find time to know your child. Find time. There are so many fathers that don't even know the names of their children's school. I'm telling you, not to talk of their classes, or not to talk of knowing their results.
Knowing their results.
Everything is on mother's head. So I think it is time for parents, especially fathers, to join hands with mothers to raise these children so that they can become responsible leaders of tomorrow.
Yeah. You know, Dr. Emmanuel, I want to talk about the current experience that a lot of people have in Nigeria, because we have to recognize that a lot of homes are dual income homes. Both parents have to work, you know, because everything is so expensive. And also a lot of women want to be career women. For people who have those kind of homes where both parents are going to work, they're out all day, and it's really not out of choice, but out of ensuring that you can provide a healthy, safe home for your children, you can send your kids to school. What words of advice would you have for those kind of parents who are in a situation where they're like, this is what I have to do, I just have to work, I have to provide for, we both have to provide for the family?
As I said before, you can never eat your cake and have it. For those parents that are career people, two people cannot be leaving house in the morning, come back at night, leaving the children at the mercy of nannies. There have to be sort of balance. They have to sit down and see how they can rearrange themselves. If one person must step down, I think it should be done. Look at both ways. Who has a higher pay? Who has a higher pay? It has to be something that a mutual agreement that both parents, husband and wife, must sit down and look at it, putting the lives of their children at the top. Because whatever you do in this world, no matter how much you earn, at the end of the day, if you have a recalcitrant child, you'll be so miserable in life. So I don't support both parents leaving house in the morning, coming back at night, leaving the children at the mercy of nannies. A lot of things happen to these children that the parents may never get to know if the children refuse to speak to them because they are not always there. So one person must sacrifice. And I believe that one person should be the mother.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And in situations, because you said something about income and who is making, you know, more money. Do you think that it's okay for the father to be the one staying at home if the mother's salary is higher?
It's not really staying at home idle. He can look for something else that will not consume most of his time.
Okay.
It's not that you are going to stay at home and be called housewife, father's wife, staying at home all day, not doing anything. No.
Right.
It can go into one sort of business that will take you out and bring you back on time. As I said before, it has to be an agreement between the husband and the wife. But trust me, Nigerian factor, no man will succumb to that. So a woman must always find a way. You have to find a way to balance whatever you're doing. Don't ever leave your child for your nanny to raise because you regret it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you in terms of ensuring that parents are involved in, you know, raising their children. And I think that leads to a question about, you know, gender justice. When you think of a gender just society, what does that mean to you? You know, when I say a society that is gender just, what does that mean to you?
Simply means women inclusion in all affairs of life.
Right.
Political sector, decision making, society, bodies, women should be included. Recently, we've been glamoring, even the United Nations talking about gender parity.
Yeah.
Women are known to be stabilizers. So when you're talking about gender justice, simply means inclusion of women in all aspects.
And in terms of, you know, your state, Akwa Ibom has a lot of challenges, but also there have been a lot of positives. And I want to start by talking specifically about this reputation that Akwa Ibom has as a baby a baby making factory. And this idea that, you know, people think of Akwa Ibom in this way that is not healthy. What has the government's response been to that reputation that Akwa Ibom has?
I think the question you should have asked me would have been, is there anything like baby factory? As I'm talking to you, I don't think we have such factories. It happened some years ago. I could remember
Okay.
when I came in 2014, then my husband was SSG.
Mm-hmm.
We heard about such stories, and with my predecessor then, we went round churches. We were talking about baby factories.
Okay.
We were talking to women. We were talking to pastors. Since 2014, I came into power in 2015. Up till
Right.
now, I can authoritatively tell you that we don't have no more baby factories. Those that existed then had been closed down. We chased them away. We don't have it anymore.
Right.
So I'm here to correct that impression. That
Okay.
reputation is completely wrong. We don't have baby factories anymore in a Ibom state. You can send somebody to come and check out and give
Right.
you the results. So
Right.
let's correct that impression. There's no more baby factories. If I have, I would have still been fighting against it as I'm doing about rape issues. But there
Yes.
is not like that.
Yeah.
We don't
Yeah.
have anymore.
Well, that's good to know. Thank you very much for clarifying. And I
Yeah.
know Akwa has also domesticated the Child Rights Act.
Yes.
And, you know, can you talk to us about that whole experience of making sure that you domesticated the Child Rights Act and getting all the different, you know, legislators and also, you know, the House of Rep, everyone on board in making sure that Akwa Ibom was one of the earliest states to have this law domesticated?
Yeah, when this law was signed by His Excellency 2 weeks ago, I was the most happiest person because all the fights we've been doing, all the campaigns we've been doing, we were doing it without a law, being backed up by law. But when he
Right.
signed this bill 2 weeks ago, I tell you, I troubled him enough. And he's also frowning seriously at the rate of rape cases in the state. So he gladly signed the law. Now we can go out there with boldness, knowing that we are backed up by law to campaign and do what we have to do to end the menace of rape in the states.
And I know also for the VAP Act as well, that was domesticated. But I kind of want to get an inside, I would like to get an inside view on what it means to get those kind of laws domesticated for other states that have not domesticated them. So if you can talk to us a little bit about the actual process, you know, going through it and ensuring, if you can just talk to us about and how long it took you and how long the campaigning, and also what kind of hindrances and challenges did you have in making sure that this law was domesticated?
I think I wouldn't say there was a challenge per se. I don't know why they didn't drag. Probably we didn't really pay attention to it that the bill was not domesticated
Right.
until the spike in these rape cases and all that. That was when his attention was drawn to it. Sir, you have not signed this bill. The House of Assembly had prepared everything, and he did not hesitate. He immediately signed it. Immediately his attention was drawn to it. So that was just that. Because he frowns at it also. He's not happy about it. So he didn't have a choice than to sign it to make sure that the offenders are properly punished.
Right. I see what you're saying. And now that it's been domesticated, what do you think, what does it mean for the state? You know, what does it mean for the fight against gender-based violence in Akwa Ibom states?
Oh, it's giving us more strength. We can go out with confidence that when an offender is caught, he will be tried and he will be prosecuted. So it's an edge for us to fight this menace.
And you know, during COVID, there was a huge spike in gender-based violence across the
We can say
world.
that again. Yeah.
I think a lot of us we all kind of have an assumption that, oh, it has to do with the fact that people were at home, you know, people were idle. But I want to hear your thoughts on it. You know, why do you think there was such a spike in gender-based violence during COVID?
I am one person that does not believe that there's any justification for such an act.
Yeah.
Staying at home, everybody was staying at home. Why would you be the one to go and perpetuate this kind of crime? So there's no justification whatsoever. It's just people that, I don't know how, it's not even about God. I think these people are people that don't have conscience. Let me put it that way. They don't have conscience. Their conscience are dead, because I cannot imagine an old man defiling a young child. So there's no justification to this act at all. Some people will say when they take drugs, when they do this, that's all nonsense. Why will you take drugs when you know that drugs will lead you to do what is not good? If everybody were to behave like them, what would become of the society? So there's no justification for it as long as I'm concerned. It's just an attitude that they've developed. And if they don't change, they will rot with that attitude.
I feel I'm very happy to see how passionate you are about this, because I feel like in so many ways we call, when I think of someone like you, I think of you as a champion. You're someone who is in a position of authority and influence, and you're ensuring that you're championing and you're talking about this issue of gender-based violence. But how do we communicate this idea that no means no, consent is consent, and how can that be communicated to the indigenes of Akwa Ibom, who they might not understand what no means no? When they think of a woman, they think of her as having rights or possession over her. How is the communication about issues that have to do with rape being communicated to them in a way that they are understanding it?
Okay, right now we are doing wide campaign. We have 31 local government areas, and I have stakeholders that we had a meeting with. I told them about this menace. They need for us to go into our rural areas to campaign, to talk to men, to talk to women. And as I'm talking to you now, is ongoing in all the 31 local government areas. And we are using our dialects to tell them that they should stop harassing young girls, babies. They should stop raping our girls. We are talking to youths. Even youths are joining hands with us now to fight the cause. So we are using the language they will understand, that no is no. Enough of forcing our young girls, enough of defiling our babies, because it's not only young girls, babies are involved now. It's a very pathetic situation. So we are crying to paramount rulers, we are talking to clan heads, we are talking to village heads, we are talking to pastors. We have gone to that extent. Anybody that is in authority, we are talking to them. Talk to your men, talk to men, leave our children alone. And we are drumming it to their ears. We are shouting. If you come to Akwa Ibom State now, it's like explosion. Every local government, every day they are on the streets in their rural areas talking about this same case. So I believe by the time we finish this, the potential rapists, if they are, will change their minds of going into rape any other child again.
And in terms of gender roles, do you think gender roles has anything to do, based on the stories you've heard, do you think gender roles has anything to do with gender-based violence? Or our traditions and our customs as a society, do you think it affects each other? Do you think that's why we have such a high rate of gender-based violence?
I don't think it has anything to do with gender roles. As I said before, it's just an attitude somebody just developed. Even in the days of old, this kind of act was prohibited.
Yeah, it was.
They will stone you to death if you're found doing this. So it has nothing to do with gender role. It's just a habit that somebody has decided to pick up. It has nothing to do with gender role.
In your opinion, ma'am, if someone is convicted of, for example, a crime such as rape or sexual assault, what kind of punishment do you think they deserve? Just from your opinion.
I suggest life imprisonment. I think that is what His Excellency has assented to also. Life imprisonment. Let the
Yeah,
person rot in the prison. The person is not free to walk around because he will continue to harass other people. So let him be behind bars.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. And it's funny because I was talking to someone recently, and the person was saying, oh, they made a comment and they said, you know, why would you give them the same punishment as murder? Rape is not as bad as murder. And I said to, you know, this, and it was a man who said it, and I was like, well, you've never been raped, so you cannot say what rape is. Honestly, you have no
Mm,
experience with it, you know. But I agree with you in the fact that there does need to be more stringent and more intense punishments for people who are sex offenders. I want
yeah.
to talk about, I know Ekiti State started a sex offender registry list, and I wanted to find out if there was anything like that in the works, or if you've already started anything like that.
Like what?
Sex offenders list, a sex offenders registry list. So a list of anybody that will be convicted of any crimes, any sexual crimes, and their picture will be published. They will
Oh
go on.
yeah. We've done that. That's one
Okay,
of the things we've been campaigning also. We've
right.
told the people that henceforth, when you are caught, you'll be paraded, you'll be sent, your pictures will be everywhere, social media, national news dailies. And we've done that. If you watch news of yesterday, 7 were paraded yesterday in national NTA news from Akwa Ibom. Yeah, we
Hmm.
started that. We've told them that we are not hiding them anymore. We must
Hmm.
disgrace you first before you are put behind bars. And we have the list of all of them.
I mean, I'm so curious. Sometimes I wish I could be in the. I wish I could be in the community when these things are happening. Like, what's the
Oh,
people's reaction?
okay, I'll invite you one of these days. You need to think to yourself that we are not taking it lightly again. I think we've gotten it up to here.
Well, how do they react?
Enough is enough. So we have to do everything that will make these people, even the potential ones, to start having a rethink of not committing the crime. 2 days ago or thereabouts, they caught one in the local government as the women were going for campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And the youth came out. They almost killed this man. It was the paramount ruler that rescued him and then handed him over to police. So what we are doing is yielding results. Everybody is on it now, fighting this menace. And I believe that thing that happened 2 days ago will serve as a deterrent to any other person. The person was paraded. His pictures was everywhere. He was in the news. The name of his village, the name of his family. We do not hide anything again. We have to disgrace them because when you rape a child, you have killed that child. Even though the child is still walking, you've killed that child. And you take the grace of God to be able to counsel that child and bring that child back to self-esteem.
Yes, yes. No, thank you very much, ma'am, for that, because it's. I can see that you're extremely passionate and it's very dear to you.
Yeah.
And I think that's really encouraging for so many of us who sometimes it just feels like we're like, what is happening? How can we move forward? But I want to talk about law enforcement and how can we encourage people to report cases of rape, because that's still something that people are. There's a lot of shame attached to it. A lot of people feel, wow, was it my fault? Did I do something? You know, did I? And a lot of people will also say, if you report, nobody will marry you, especially if it's a girl that's older. How can we let people understand that this thing needs to be reported? The people have to be held accountable.
The campaign of breaking silence is going on also. That's why we are having so many reported cases.
Right.
Before now, if we were not embarking on the campaigns, people would just be raped. We wouldn't know that people have been raped. But because we've talked about it, we've told parents, we've told women, we've told even the victim, young girls, when you are raped, don't keep silence. Don't be threatened. Because most of them will be threatened. I will kill you if you make any reports. I will wipe away your family. And
Mm,
because of that, especially those indigent families will retrieve, will not
mm,
want to say anything because they don't want to be harassed. But we have told them, anybody, when your child is raped and you are threatened, report to us. We had a case like that. This poor man reported the case, and the family of the offender went to harass the man. He came back to us. We moved with full force. My NGO, FEREP, FIDA, NAWOJ, Ministry of Women Affairs, we went to the village. We went and reported to the village head, brought the family of the offender, made him to sign an undertaking. If anything happened to this family,
Yes.
since that day, they stopped harassing the parents of the victim. So we've been talking about this. Don't allow them to victimize you by threatening you. Some parents will not even want to report when they are offered money.
Yes.
Part of the campaign, we are saying, if your child is raped and you report in the first instance, then coming back trying to follow up the case, you try to play pranks with us, you go in for it. We've issued that threat to them. Don't obstruct us. You are not the one that is being raped.
Yes.
That child needs justice. We had a case like that. The child was raped. Because we have a program, we go around schools to talk to about to our girl child.
Right.
In so many schools, we've gone around. I'm waiting for school to resume for us to go again.
Okay.
In the process of talking to them, at the end of discussion, you see some girls coming to us to tell us stories. Stories that they cannot tell their parents. Why? Because their parents are not there. That's why we are talking about mothers that are not there for their children. That's why we unravel so many things that happen to these children that their parents don't even know in the course of discussion with them in schools. That's how we get to know that some fathers were abusing their daughters. So many things. So this child came to tell us that she was raped. Do you know what the mother did? She warned the child, don't ever talk to those people again. Collected that child's phone so that they will not have access to us. This girl had to go and borrow phone from her friend and said, please, my mommy said I should not talk about it again, but I want justice.
Wow.
So we had to move in. And we warned the mother, don't ever try it again. And we say to every other mother, don't try to obstruct justice for your child. If you try to do that, you go behind bars. Because the more we continue to hide these offenders, the more they continue to commit the crime. So allow us, even if they offer you, I don't know what they can offer you that can compensate what they have done to your child. So that is the campaign we are on now. Whether you are a mother or a father, don't stand on our way, except you didn't report that case. Well, once you report the case to us, it is no more your business. It is now ours. We will take it up and see it to conclusion.
Wow. I don't even know what to say, honestly, because I think you've really broken down all the different layers and all the different challenges that we're facing, you know, because a lot of times when we think about this, we think about are not reporting, but you just said a mother is the one standing in the way of justice. Child. And I think the part that for me, the key word you said was they who obstruct the justice, they too will receive a sort of punishment.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And that is something that I think a lot of us are going to take away.
Yeah.
In terms of collaboration, you know, because Dr. Emmanuel, it seems as if you have a really strong understanding of how to tackle this. What's the collaboration like with the Governor's Wives? I know you have a state Governor's Wives Forum, and you've come together and you're working together. So talk to us a little bit about that, ma'am.
Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, we've been meeting every now and then talking about the same issue. We are speaking with one voice. What I'm saying now is what my other colleagues will say because they are experiencing the same in their states.
Right.
We do not need to hide the perpetrators anymore. They have to be prosecuted. And we are encouraging other states that have not domesticated the law to do so. And they are all working towards it. So we are all speaking with one voice as Governor's Wives Forum.
And what are some, I know, I believe that Erelu Bisifayemi of Ekiti State, she mentioned that there was some moves and also plans to start shelters and to create a place where, you know, not only talking about rape, but also talking about domestic violence. and we know how prevalent domestic violence is, and that's a conversation that, you know, we're just beginning to scratch the surface of. Are there any plans for shelters or any safety places for women who report that they are dealing with issues and situations of domestic violence in their home? And how can we begin to also make sure that as we're talking about rape, we're not forgetting about the issue of domestic violence as well?
Yeah, we are working hand in hand, rape and domestic violence. We have a GBVC center in Ferrep. Ferrep is my NGO, Family Empowerment and Youth Reorientation Path Initiative.
Right.
We had a center in partnership with UNFPA. We are working hand in hand in collaboration with the UNFPA. They came when I opened the center.
Okay.
And that center housed people that are traumatized, especially women that are being abused by their husbands. Sometimes people that are abused also, sexually abused, that are threatened by the families of the offenders. We will harbor them in that place for a while until we sort them out. So as I speak, that center is there already now in my office, or in Ferrep's office, not wife of governor's office, in my NGO's office. We have that center that was inaugurated by a member of UNFPA.
For anyone that's watching, you know, that's still a lot of people. I like to sometimes think that we're all of one opinion about this issue of rape and reporting. But for anyone that's watching and is still of the opinion that issues like this should be settled in-house, what words do you have for them? And anyone that says, oh, you know, what did she wear? Why was she there? Did she not go to his house? What would you say to people like that who are watching?
What's the meaning of that? I am the last person that will succumb to settlement out of court. I will never agree to that. What did she wear? What does that mean? Don't we see men walking half naked also? Okay, let's just leave what did she wear. What about the babies? A 3-month-old that was raped in Nasarawa, what did she wear? Pampers. The 3-year-old girl, the 5-year-old girl, these are the ages I have seen.
Yeah.
6-year-old girl, 10-year-old girl that does not have anything. What did she wear? When people have animalistic tendency, they will blame it on dressing. We have power to control our instincts.
Yeah.
When you are hungry and you don't have food to eat, do you go to steal? So if you don't steal, if you are looking for sex and you don't find somebody, is it that small girl or that girl that you have to? You have control over your emotions. So there is, I don't buy that idea. He was walking naked, he was exposing, wearing, revealing clothes. What is that? Don't you have children in your home? Haven't you seen it enough from your children that you can control yourself when you see outside another person? There's no justification for that. So I don't join that school of thought at all. In as much as I believe in decent dressing, but I don't think that a man should rape a girl because she didn't dress well. It's not allowed. And I can never be part of that that theory. It's not good.
We need to hear, more people need to hear this, and I can see that I don't think any of us are worried about Akwa Ibom states, because with you being this passionate and committed, I feel like we're going to see a lot of positive results.
Things are happening already here.
Yeah, I say I'm very, very grateful and I'm thankful for that. And so many of us that are watching, we probably would also be able to say that. In terms of, you know, challenges, and this is moving away as a first lady, and just you talked a lot about motherhood, and being a first lady is in itself a major role and it's a lot of work. What has been some highlights for you? What have been some moments that you look when you think about it and you're like, wow, this has been a really great experience? What are some moments that you can recall that you enjoyed?
There's so many. So many. There's so many. This work is enormous. Number one, you have to solve everybody's problem. As a first lady, everybody is looking up onto you, especially women. Anybody that is sick, you are the first person they will call. My wife is in the hospital. I need school fees. I need this, I need that. So solving this problem, when you are able to solve some of these problems, you feel fulfilled. At least you are able to put smile on somebody's face. So there are so many things. There are so many things.
And what about, you know, challenges? What are some moments that you look back and you just talked about, and what you just answered is both a challenge, but you spoke as about it as a positive, which I find to be very interesting, you know, because here you have a huge burden solving people's issues, but you solving that is what gives you joy. What about
Yeah.
the challenge? What about the parts where you're like, this is not what I signed for?
Well, let me say the aspect that I don't really like about it is the public lifestyle. I have been a quiet person, doing my own thing in my quiet corner, but now my life is public. There's no way you enter without going with people behind you.
Yeah.
Sometimes, even when you tell people, don't follow me, you can't get that freedom. You are not free. Your life is just there. That's one of the most aspects that I don't like about this job at all.
Right.
Because you are not yourself. When you cough, everybody will know that you're coughing.
And every time if you're at an event and the camera is on you, if you're not smiling,
Even when you don't want people to take your picture, the next minute you are seeing your picture on social media, and you'll be saying, what is it? Can't you just do something without it? The thing is just sometimes I quarrel with my press units also.
yeah.
I need my quiet time. I said, no, ma, you can't have it until when you get back.
That's, I guess,
So I think that's just that.
public office. Public office. I feel like this has been a really great conversation. I'm very encouraged. I don't think you know how encouraged I am, because sometimes, you know, it feels like we're fighting alone, us that are just kind of online going to protest. But again, like you said, there were certain foundational things. These laws have to be domesticated, because
Yeah.
without them, in so many ways, we're just punching air.
Yeah. Mm.
We're just punching.
Sometimes don't get judgments because there's no law to back it up. But with this domestication now, all the people that were pending judgment, trust me, in the next few months, when this lockdown is over, because now so many are pending trials, they can't try them because prison are not accepting people.
Right,
So they are just on standby. You will see it on news when the lockdown is over and they start accepting. You are going to see the number we are going to pull through, put behind bars.
that we're
So
all looking forward to it. We're looking forward to the justice. We need it. We need it
yeah,
as much as possible, you know. Without consequences, the society cannot move forward. And
at
without
all.
running, you know, legal system, the society cannot move forward. Do you have
Yeah.
any final words for us before we finish wrap up our conversation?
What can I say? And to congratulate you. Let's keep on talking. We'll get there. God being on our side, this fight will come to an end one day.
Yeah.
And our young girls, our women will be free.
Amen. Amen.
Congratulations. Keep on doing the good works.
Thank you so much, Dr. Emmanuel, for coming. Thank you
Thank
for the
you.
work you're doing. I think all of us can agree to say that we really appreciate you, and we appreciate the fact that so many of the governor's wives that we've spoken to, you know, during this series have been so passionate about ensuring that we end gender-based violence. And we know that you being there, all of you being there, it helps advance the cause faster, and we need it. We need it. So please don't forget about us. Don't forget about the cause. And thank you
Thank
for
you,
taking.
Bolanle. I will invite you to a fight, but don't worry. You
I'll
come and
come.
see things for yourself.
I've never been, so I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, don't worry. When we are having one of those campaigns, I will call you.
I will
You
be.
come and see things for yourself. Thank you very much. God
Thank you.
bless you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
ma. Have a good night. Thank
All
you.
right. Bye. Yeah. Bye.
Wow. I think we can all say that we really appreciated that, having Dr. Martha Emmanuel on this call. She really broke it down in so many different ways, and it's great to see that there's so much unity and cohesion, you know, with the first ladies, and they're really helping to make sure that we make sure that we're making advances in the fight against gender-based violence. We all know that, you know, every day it feels like there's a new rape case, but again, I always tell people 1 out of 3 women in their lifetime will be a survivor of domestic or sexual or physical violence. And that means that if you count 3, if you put 3 women together, 1, 2, 3, one of them is a survivor. What does that mean? It means 1 out of 3 people are the ones who are perpetrators of that act. So if you put 3 men together, 1, 2, 3, 1 out of 3 of them have done some sort of sexual, have raped someone, or they've caused some sort of chaos, or they've beaten someone before. So like Her Excellency said, it's important that we continue to report these cases. It's important that we do not trade money for, you know, justice. And it's important that we do not victim shame. Let us not do that. Thank you so much for joining our gender justice series. We have one more, I believe, and we will be announcing the day and the time that that will be, and I'm looking forward to it. I appreciate you all so much, and I appreciate Enough is Enough Nigeria asking me to host this conversation. It's something that is very dear to my heart, and it means a lot to me. And yeah, so I hope you guys have a good evening, and I will see you on the next conversation. All right, good night.